Hey there, e-bike fans. Once in a while, I come across a bike that just absolutely blows me away. And the Ride1up Core-5 is one of those bikes that have made me a fan. This is a bike that I would be recommending to a lot of people who ask me, what do I recommend for commuter bikes? And I believe this is one of the best deals out there for a commuter bike, for the components you get and for the price. At $1,045, I don't know how it can be beat with the quality parts that it comes with. Let's get started on the review and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I want to show the assembly of the bike. It's going to be in hyperlapse speed, so you can actually see 1 hour's worth of time in just about a minute. And the reason why I want to show this is because the bike does need more assembly than most other bikes that I've gotten. And there is a fantastic 6-minute video on the Ride1up site that shows you how to do assembly on this. And it was actually a lot easier than I thought. I probably watched the video like 6 times just to make sure I knew where everything was going to be before I even started, and just kind of observing where things would look like, which position they'd be in. So this is the whole assembly process through the sped up process. And like I said, it only took about an hour to do the whole thing. You put the fork assembly together, and as you can see in the background there, I have my iPad so that I could replay the video if I had some parts to stop and rewatch. And again, everything was there for me. It was very simple to go ahead and do the whole thing put together. I do recommend pumping up the front tire before you installing it. It just makes it a little easier because the tire becomes just a little more sturdy, and maybe even perhaps pumping up the back tire sooner than later. But once the tire gets on there, it sits nicely on the kickstand. You probably want to have a torque wrench available if possible so that you could get the settings right on some of the screws, but for the most part this is the whole assembly. And again, it was a lot easier than I thought because the video that they have is just so clear on what you need to do to get this put together properly. This was probably no harder than many of the other bikes that I put together that need as much assembly, and again, it just worked out really good. As you can see, this is the final steps where I'm actually putting on the seat and the pedal, testing the motor, and there you go. That's the whole bike, all assembled and ready to ride. Okay, so let's go over all the specs on this bike here, because for what you get for the value of it, it's just kind of amazing what you're going to be getting. So first of all, let's start off with the motor here. The Core-5 is powered by a 500 watt nominal motor that goes up to 880 watts peak. Needless to say, this bike is really fast, and that's really just the beginning of why this bike is so amazing at $1,045. As I mentioned, I am absolutely blown away at what they've been able to do and get this price kept at the level that it's at for what you get. So the other thing is, you're going to get these tires here. These are Kenda tires. They're actually, I guess they're moped grade. They actually say moped on the tire itself. They're actually very smooth. You get a lot of speed out of them. They also do very good job in gripping the road when you need to come to a stop. When you have 160 millimeter rotors in the back here, combined with Tektro brakes. These are mechanical brakes, but they work really, really well. And then of course we have our integrated battery, and look at the beauty of this frame. It is so nice the way that they have this even black two-tone with the gray on here. Now the bike also comes in 2 other colors. There's also, I believe, a blue and also a lime green style that's on there. You can see it on the website. You also have your bottle cage bosses here. Now if you do put a bottle cage using these bosses, the battery will not be easy to go ahead and remove to be charged, but you can charge the battery right on the bike itself. Here you have a port right here. Just basically open this up and you can charge it right on the bike, but if you want to remove the battery, you can do that as well. And I'll have an example of that being popped out. All you need to do is stick in your key, pull it out. And one thing I'll show is that the battery is really very nicely painted all around on the inside of it, just the same as the frame color. This seat here, this is a little hard, but it is a good seat. It's not, you know, if you're not used to riding, you're going to have to get used to it a little, I'd say, for a long distance. But for other than that, you know, it does its job as a seat. You might want to go ahead and upgrade that, but for the most part, it's okay. Now, this bike does not come with a rack. Now, the reason why you're seeing a rack here is this is a commuter bike, and I do plan to probably use it as a commuter bike, but also because of filming. I like to go ahead and attach cameras to it, and that's why I had opted to get a rack So for an extra $50, you can order the rack as well, and it does not come with fenders, but you can order that too. So one of the ways that Ride1up has just brilliantly kept the price down is they don't throw all kind of stuff on it that you don't perhaps want, that you're going to pay for. So this is like kind of a raw, bare bones style bike, really. I mean, you have the essentials, like you have your kickstand, you have great brakes, you have great components like the motor. This is actually a Shengyi motor, and if you're not familiar with that, it is a big name brand. They're used by many other companies because of reliability and the power you get from it. These pedals are decent pedals as well. I have no issues with these pedals whatsoever. A control system here that actually gives you all the data that you need. So you have your mileage over here. If by pressing the middle button, you can toggle through a trip meter there, and then you have your time, and then also your wattage power, which is pretty cool. But this is the bare essentials that absolutely people will say they really need or want on it. You also have your standard SIS index shifter here. Now this is not, of course, high end, but it is very good. I mean, a lot of other bikes again use that, many other companies, because of its reliability, and there is no doubt that they're not going cheap on anything. It's just the parts that are absolutely necessity that are really good. As you can see, it is a rigid fork. And being that it is a rigid fork here, that actually keeps the bike a little lighter. This bike without a rack comes in at 49 pounds only, and that's just great. I mean, at 49 pounds, you can actually, you know, perhaps even get it upstairs if you need to, if you live in a small apartment. It doesn't get in the way. You know, some of the other fat tire bikes run easily 75 to 80 pounds as well. This is a bike that actually is great if you are kind of debating on whether or not you want to get into e-bikes and you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want something that's decent quality that'll last well. This is actually one of those that will do that for you. It does have a quick release seat, so it's easy to go and change out. This seat post is a 31.6 millimeter post. It is rigid, as you can see here, and this is probably one of the things I would recommend that you upgrade to maybe suspension seat posts. I do sell these on the ebikeproducts.com website /shop. You can go there and see that there. We have 3 different colors that you can go and match on there, and that will add some dampening to your ride if you want. It's a really just a small upgrade for just $30 as well. So again, you get a really good bare bones bike to start. And then if you want to put on different parts like fenders, they have that in their store at $50. Again, you can put a rack on if you need that. You know, a lot of people don't need racks and they don't want to pay for that and their added cost as well. Another thing that they actually do on this bike to bring the cost down is that they do require you to do a little more assembly than you would in other bikes. So you would have to assemble by putting the fork and this neck together, and then you would also have to put part of the cranks on together too. I have that in some of the video of the assembly. And the thing is, they have a 6-minute video online that is absolutely fantastic in showing you how to put it together. And in fact, it's a lot easier than what even the video showed. They actually have gone a lot further. Like in the video, they show that you do need to wrap this, but mine came wrapped, and I believe that's how they're coming now. Also, the neck part, there were some portions that they were saying that you need to assemble, and a lot more assembly had already been installed on that. So they've been making improvements since even that time. I think one thing that I found that might be really just a minor annoyance in my opinion is that the kickstand is close to the pedal here. So the back of my heel sometimes hit it. Really not a big deal. I can just move it forward. That's pretty much all the only issues that I have here. Other than that, this bike easily hits up to the 27, 28 miles an hour when you give it some pedal. The other thing that helps that along is that there is a gearing of 11 to 32 tooth, 7-speed Shimano gearing back here. It is an Altus shifter, so it's not even the bottom of the line. It is actually one step above, a little higher quality. Shifting is really smooth, but the 11 tooth is the key here. Combine that together, 44 tooth chainring. This is a really decent size. You're not air pedaling at higher speeds. You're actually helping the bike move, and that is a benefit to help keeping it move faster while you're actually doing your pedaling. So that's pretty awesome as well. You also have a plastic chain guard here, so it keeps your pants from getting hooked in there, or perhaps even like maybe a shoelace to keep it out there. If it just really gives a little added protection from getting any oil from chain oil onto your pants. These tires here are 27.5 by 2.2 millimeter tires. I do have them inflated to the max of 50 psi, which gives them still surprisingly it's not solid. It actually does absorb a lot of the bumps there. The rack that you can buy optionally does have a 25 kilogram weight limit, but for the most part, this is the bike in itself here. With the ride shots that you're seeing, you can see that someone my height at 5'5" has no issues riding with the ride position is very comfortable, and it's a little less aggressive than I thought it would be when I first saw the pictures of this bike. Also, I have no problem doing the standover. I know that they were saying that the standover is 28 inches, but I believe they're measuring from here. So when you come around here, it's about a 30-inch standover. But again, at 5'5", I have a 30-inch standover height that's comfortable, and this is not a problem for me to ride. Beginners could ride this, but the other thing is, even someone who has ridden many different e-bikes, this has easily become one of my favorites. And I highly recommend actually taking a look at this if you are looking into the market of getting one of these bikes or an e-bike out there. Thank you very much, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment below. I did reach out to Ride1up and asked them how long are they going to keep it at the $1,045 price, and they said they're going to keep it down as long as possible. This is the bike that I call the inflation buster, because with everybody talking about how gas prices are going up, container prices are going up, parts are being hard to get, they are still able to keep the price down. You have a bike right out of the box that is amazing. It goes quite fast there. You have your 5-pedal assist, no disappointment in the feel of the bike. It's super nimble, that's another thing, and it just feels fantastic. This has made me an admirer of Ride1up, turned me into a fan, and I just absolutely love this bike. And this is one of the bikes, when people ask what they should consider, I would say this is one that they want to test first, because it's between the road of a road bike and a fat tire bike, and then they can actually feel what decent power is and what kind of price point you can get from this. Ride1up, they've done a great job in getting more people into the market by keeping their prices low with high quality bikes.